Amigos, welcome back to my channel. So today we have a very similar video from yesterday. I think yesterday's video was made by AI, so it was a bit weird of a video. And today I found this one called, again, 7 reasons not to move to Denmark. I feel like this is a channel with 108,000 subscribers, so probably a more serious one, and probably also an actual person speaking, and maybe they're gonna make better points. As I explained in the other video, I do live in Denmark. I did move here 10 years ago and I'm loving it. So I want to find out why people would say they don't want to move to Denmark. Maybe they bring out the same points as in yesterday's video, but hopefully they have some other ones, and then I'll kind of try to share my experience to see if they actually make sense or not. Right off the bat, I think they're gonna mention the weather. That's one thing for sure. The prices, but yeah, let's find out. Let's go.
Seven reasons not to move to Denmark. If anyone advises you not to move to Denmark, never see that person as an enemy of your progress. In the same vein, if someone goes all the way to convince you to go to Denmark, please don't be so quick to key into that. It might just be that Denmark isn't the right country for you. To be sure, the Nordic country isn't at all among the worst in the world. On a scale of fair ranking, it should be among the top best, at least in Europe. Yet there are dark sides to living in Denmark which shouldn't be ignored. This video will show at least 7 reasons not to move to Denmark. They're surely highly instructive. 7. Not for highly ambitious people. The first of the reasons not to move to Denmark is that the place is not for an ambitious person. If you're a highly ambitious person, you better think twice. The reason is that the country is an egalitarian society. It's part of the country's national character. In this country, you aren't expected to make a lot of money in this country. You're not better than anyone else in the country. So the question on
that's called the Jantel law.
The minds of many is, why would you aspire to achieve greatness in this country when you cannot be celebrated as an achiever? This is one of the dark sides of living in Denmark. It's in their national character that no Dane is no more Dane than another Dane in Denmark. This is involved in the whole concept called the Gentile Logan. It means that the country
Gentle Logan
will not be conducive for any overachiever, overambitious people. People in this country might lose some of their motivation. Well, you don't have to be indolent and slothful. You just have to note here that in this country, teamwork matters.
I'm not sure about this one. I think if you're ambitious and you're at one of those big companies in Denmark like Maersk or Novo Nordisk, Novo Nordisk is a special case these days because they're firing a lot of people, right? But yeah, if you work in one of these companies and if you're an overachiever, nobody's gonna look bad at you, and you're probably gonna have a great career. And I don't really see this as an issue at all. Like, if you're ambitious, that's fine. I think the concept of Janteloven is just don't be an asshole. And that's pretty much it. But if you have a successful life, you just don't show it off, and then you're gonna be just fine. I really don't see an issue with this one at all.
6. High cost of living. We'll tell you more about this later in the video. However, it is good to let you know that you can't enjoy living in Denmark if you're not prepared to maintain a kind of high cost of living. It's good to reconsider your decision to move to Denmark. One big reason not to move to Denmark is its high cost of living. The reason for this high cost of living isn't far-fetched. In Denmark, the standard of living is covetously high. Healthcare and education standards are top-notch. Security, agriculture, health and technology are given the best attention. To enjoy such a high standard, you must be prepared to pay a lot more. 5. Limited.
5. Have they mentioned already 5 things? 1, 6. Okay, sorry, it's going backwards. My bad. I feel like the high cost of living, I hear this in the list, for example, the video that I watched yesterday, but they don't mention that the salaries are quite high here. So once you get into the labor market, you'll be fine.
5. Limited job opportunities. Denmark is surely not among the countries with the highest unemployment rates. No, it has yet to record any challenge with unemployment. Nevertheless, moving to Denmark, you won't have the guarantee of landing your dream job as you would in the US, Canada, France, or even in UAE. And why is that so? Haven't we been told that there are enough job placements in Denmark? Oh, that's for the most part, or to an extent, illusory. While there are so many job positions, it is not so for...
What did they mean when they said that you're guaranteed to find your dream job in the US or in Canada or in the UAE? I don't think you're guaranteed to find your dream job anywhere. And yeah, unemployment rates are not really high, and then I'm not really sure where they're going with this one.
Those who don't speak Danish. Speakers of English, French, German, Italian and other international languages have to deal with this issue of limited job opportunities. Again, this is a big con of living in Denmark. For your information, this applies to you if you move to any country whose language you don't speak. It's more pronounced in Denmark because Danish is not an international language, so you can't learn the language perfectly outside the country. It is unlike French that you can learn anywhere, even in Africa, before moving to France. This language barrier makes it extremely difficult for non-natives to get a job. The expats just live in this country and get by with whatever is available to them. Another reason...
I don't think that's true. If you have an education and you come to Denmark, I think you have a pretty good chance of landing a job. There's quite a lot of places that have English as the corporate language. Of course, you'll have more opportunities if you speak Danish, but that's obvious, right? If someone moved to Mexico, my home country, they would have more opportunities if they spoke Spanish. If someone moved to France, they would have more opportunities if they spoke French. I think that's just kind of common sense, right?
For limited job opportunities in Denmark is that it's not a big country. The country has a total area of 42,943 square kilometers. That's about the size of Virginia, the 35th largest state in the US. Now, how much jobs does such a small economy support? That's why the country simply has a very small job market. With a population of about 6 million, it can be considered densely populated with more pressure on the job market. All these put together give you another reason not to move to Denmark.
I do feel like in Denmark right now it's going to be an interesting time for trying to find a job. Like I said before, Novo Nordisk is firing a lot of people. Maersk is firing, or actually not Maersk, but they're always firing a lot of people at Maersk, for example. Or Østed, I think they just recently mentioned that they're going to be firing a lot of people. A company called FL Smith, they're also firing people. So yeah, it's interesting times in Denmark. I think after Corona, a lot of companies are looking into the option of hiring people from countries where salaries are lower. Like I said before, Danish salaries are quite high. So when companies realize that they can have people working from home, then they figured, okay, why not, instead of working from home, just working from a different country? And a lot of companies are looking into hiring people in India, in Mexico, in Romania, in Poland, these kind of places. So yeah, I think it is interesting times in Denmark for sure, but it might be regulated at some point. Denmark, what I like about it, the government, they always look for their people, and this is just someone speaking from the Mexican perspective. I come from Mexico and I don't trust the government there, and this is kind of the overall feeling in Mexico of the politicians, that they just steal the money and they don't really do much for the country. But in Denmark, I feel like I trust that when they take decisions, they might not always be the best, but they always have the people in mind. At least that's my perspective. Yeah.
4. High taxes. Now let's talk about tax and see another one of the reasons not to move to Denmark. We don't need to be convinced that the rate of tax in Denmark is quite high. If you're not used to paying such taxes in your country, you've got to think twice before moving to Denmark. This is not as easy as stated and can't just be analysed easily. As a country with one of the highest tax rates in the world, some earners in the country pay as much as 60% of their income as tax. It's almost impossible to evade tax in Denmark. Any attempt
Almost impossible to evade tax in Denmark. Yeah, that's illegal, huh? Yeah, if you're paying 60%, you're very, very, very well off. By the way, you don't. If you're a waiter, like the way taxes work in Denmark is like a pyramid, right? If you're paying 60%, that's because you're kind of CEO of one of the biggest companies.
to do so will be met with serious sanctions. Meanwhile, the more your income, the higher you pay. The gap between the rich and poor is being blurred by high tax rates to ensure that the country remains egalitarian. 3. Nature is not diverse. Moving on, lovers of nature will have more reasons not to move to Denmark because nature is not diverse in this geographical entity. If you've been fantasizing about the possibility of enjoying nature in this country, it's high time you woke up from your daydream. There are no mountains in this country.
Yeah, that's
Everywhere
true.
is flat. There's nothing like winter sports, such as skiing. We're told the natural highest peak in Denmark is the place called Mollehøj, which is just about 170.86 meters above sea level. While there are a couple of hills, they're not quite high enough to attract tourists, either local or international. So if you want to enjoy skiing or some kind of nature sports, either Sweden or Norway is your best destination or only to-go places.
Yeah, but I mean, if you live in Denmark, you can easily go to Sweden or Norway, right?
There's a place called Open Hill. There is another complex, Healing. But visiting the place over and over again can get all pretty fast. 2. Very expensive. Another one of the reasons not to move to Denmark is that the country is very expensive. This is due to the fact that the cost of living here is high, as we've discussed earlier.
Same argument, right? If you're in the labor market here, you're gonna be all right. Salaries are quite high, so people can afford to pay the high taxes, and people can afford to pay the high living expenses.
This is especially true in the big cities like Copenhagen. The main factor
Copenhagen.
jacking up the cost of living in this country is that it's a highly taxed country. Recall that we've earlier found that it is one of the countries with the highest tax rates in the world. In fact, some earners in the country pay as much as 2/3 of their income as tax. Due to the expensive nature of this country, it can be a bit difficult to save money, especially those who are not used to paying such high taxes in the countries they came from. Though the standard of living in this country is high, that doesn't go without a high cost. When you have to pay more for necessities such as groceries, utilities, transportation and medicals, you won't enjoy living in this country. You can learn more about this in our video about the pros and cons of living in Denmark.
Okay.
1. Cold and dark.
Yeah.
The final and the most
Okay, I'll
important
give-
of these 7 reasons
I haven't even heard this point yet entirely, but I'll give it to them. Yes, it is cold and it is dark. Especially I'm making this video in October. I look outside my window. It's cloudy. It's raining. It's dark. But then the summer comes and then everyone's happy again.
not to move to Denmark has to do with its weather and climatic conditions. Denmark is cold and dark. This is more pronounced during winter. The winters in this country can be quite long, dark and cold, which some may find difficult to adjust to. It's not as if it's the coldest or darkest country. The challenge is the length of these conditions. It is a country with very long darkness and cold combined. Living in Denmark, you can expect it to be cold for 6 months, from October to March. Now, if you don't care about the cold, what about the darkness? You can add the challenges of rain and wind to the prevailing circumstances during this period. If you're not comfortable having a winter jacket and scarf on for a long period, Denmark is not a country for you. This same situation applies to those who love to be outdoors all the time, in parks and the like. Now, if you add this to the dense darkness that dominates November and December, you'll see reasons not to move to Denmark. Conclusively, it is good to state that despite these cons of moving to Denmark, some people feel that they are cool with Denmark.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, what about me? Like I said, I've been here for 10 years and I came from Mexico. So if I can survive the dark and the cold, you probably can too. I feel like October, November, December are fine because those months are quite, you could say, hyggeligt. That's a Danish word. Look it up if you don't know it. Yeah, because leading up to Christmas and New Year's, there's a lot of Christmas plans. There's a lot of lights, hot chocolate, Christmas markets. It's quite nice. But then comes January, February, and March, and those are a little bit depressing. You need to make sure you take your vitamin D during those months. But I still love and enjoy living in Denmark, and life doesn't stop when it's dark outside. I think you just have to make a bigger of an effort to still go out and see your friends or invite them over as well. And just put on a winter jacket, you'll be fine. And again, this is from the perspective of someone that moved to Denmark 10 years ago, and I love it, so maybe that's why I'm defending it so much. It might not be for everyone, so don't take my word for it. If you're planning to move to Denmark, do your own research. I can just honestly say I really enjoy it here. Anyway, I guess that is it for today's video. As usual, if there's anything you'd like me to react to next, please put it down in the comments down below. Without any further ado, thank you so much for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you next time. Bye.